Take 72. Hey guys, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attacker Productions. Today, Bancroft is doing a deck profile for the 72 time because I cannot talk most of the time, apparently. Nor do I know how to read cards. But hey, let's get into it. Keep in mind those buttons down below. Feel free to click them. They're there for a reason. Set 15 brought us Super Saiyan Broly Demon's Second Coming, which at first, most people were like, nah, just play set 7 leader. And I actually agreed with them up until the point I got a chance to play with this card in person. Playing it on Untap, I didn't like the deck. I tested it with Jake a lot and just didn't see a way of making this deck viable. Got the cards when I got a chance to look at them and have them in my hand, and let me tell you, I actually love this deck a lot more than I thought I was going to. So let's get into it. The leader has a permanent where you cannot include non-Broly cards at all. So no Topos, no Yamchas, no Vegeta Exploding Weakness, nothing that would be good red control. So you have to rely more on your extra cards than anything else. Auto, choose one red extra card in your hand, discard it. When this card attacks, you draw 2 cards, and this leader awakens at 3 life. So when you awaken, you draw 2, restand 1. Going to the backside, on the attacks, you draw 1 card, and if there are 7 or more red extra cards in your drop area, you can activate the Activate Battle skill on non-field red cards with energy cost of 3 or less in your drop area without paying the energy cost, which is really great. But the card you activate, this method, goes straight to the warp instead. Or afterwards. This card does have an Activate Battle where it's choose 1 red extra card in your hand. You can discard it, and this card gains 5,000 power for the battle. So once you awaken, sometimes you have dead extra cards in your hand that you have no benefits of. This allows you to get rid of them by comboing them off in a sense, which is pretty nice. And we need red extra cards. So best way of doing it is playing a 2-drop Unison. That's a 15k beater. If you have 3 or more red extra cards in your drop area, it gains Double Strike. Its +1 is a way of searching for red extra cards of Activate Battle of energy cost 3 or less. And the -2 is something that a lot of people tend to forget about, which is pretty nice when you're playing against opponents. When your opponent attacks with a battle card, choose one of your opponent's battle cards. It gets -3,000 power for the turn for each red extra card in your drop area. All you need is 10 extra cards in your drop area to pretty much KO anything. And keep in mind, if it's a secret rare your opponent's swinging with, -2, you have 13 red extra cards, it will kill the secret as well. So it's just a good way of killing boss monster cards without expending any resources of your own. Extra cards with Activate Battle that we want to play. 2 Demon Awakens. This does have an Activate main, limit 1. Burst 1, which I hate bursting cards, but sometimes it's necessary. You send this card from your drop area to your warp, and you could pretty much add 1 card from your life to your hand. It does have an Activate Battle. Choose 1 card in your hand and gets plus 5,000 power for the battle, which is pretty cool. So sometimes on the front side, you could pitch other cards and then Activate Battle with this card, just getting more extra cards in your drop area. So that way, on turn 2, you can play this and immediately give it Double Strike. Demonic Barrier is a extra card that gives your a battle card plus 5k in crit as long as your leader has 15,000 power or less. And it does have the permanent that if your leader card is red Broly, reduce energy cost of this card in your hand by 2. A lot of cards actually have that permanent if they are a red energy cost of 3. Demonic Playtime. Limit 1, draw 1 card. Choose up to 1 of your red cards and gains 10,000 power for the battle. Additionally, if that card is a Broly card, it also gains Double Strike as well. If you want to do this on your leader, always do Demonic Barrier first, then follow it up with Demonic Playtime, because the clause earlier, like I mentioned, your leader has to be 15,000 power or less in order to get that effect off. Demonic Playtime will make your leader either 20 or 25. 4, Gigantic Meteor. An amazing card that could potentially board wipe your opponent. So during your turn, if it's your turn, choose any number of your opponent's battle cards that add up to a total of 30,000 or less and KO them. So if your opponent has a bunch of blockers, it takes care of that. If 1 tall card, that could be a problem for you. Get rid of that as well. It has a secondary effect where you choose 1 of your leader cards or unisons, and it gets plus 15,000 power, and has its skills negated for the battle. So you can't give it, like if it's a leader card, you can't give it crit, you can't give it a Double Strike. If it's a unison, it loses the Double Strike if it has it, because keep in mind it says negated skills for battle. Additionally, though, if your leader card is a Broly card, then the chosen card gets an additional 10,000 power. So making a 25k boost, which isn't really bad if you're going for game and your opponent has 1 life. 3, Demonic Blitz. Like I said earlier, you cannot play Topos in this deck, so it's just a negate that we need to have. It is a limit 1 negate, but when you pay the 1 energy to use it, It also negs one of your opponent's battle cards for 10k for the turn, which isn't bad at all. And it has activate battle, choose up to one of your cards, and again, it gets plus 10,000 power for the battle. So if you've already awakened, you have no demonic barrier or play times in your drop area, you can swing with leader and activate that card to get that 10k power boost. And then a tech choice, combination attack. It's a way to extend your turn. Activate battle, choose one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 5 or less, return it to the owner's hand. Then choose one of your red or blue energies, switch it to active mode. So it's a good way of just not popping, but bouncing a card on your opponent's field and resending one of your energies to continue your turn. Keep in mind, Tyranny's Cost is also another good one you could play in this deck, which is just if you feel like you need the draw power, go for it. It draws you 2, and I think if your opponent has 10 or 11 cards, you have to discard down to 9 or something like that. I chose not to go with it because I felt like the deck has a way of drawing plenty. So, extra cards that do not have Activate Battle, but they still work for your Unison or Leader's effects. 2, Demon Incumbent. Activate main. If your leader card is mono red Saiyan, choose one red extra card in your hand, discard, draw 2. So on your first swing, you can potentially get up to 3 extra cards in your drop area by using the leader swing, and then using 1 energy for this card. That way on turn 2, your Unison has double strike, which is always great. Additionally, the activate main limit 1. If your leader is red Broly, you choose 1 card in your hand, discard it, and you send this card from the drop area to the warp. And you play 1 red Broly with the energy cost of 1 from your deck. It can come in handy, and we'll kind of explain why down the road. But typically, I don't try to use that method. 2 Strategy of Universe 7 because when we play our tall cards, we want to make sure they stay alive. 2 Denial of Hopes because floodgate cards suck. And this is a good way of stopping them from being played. 2 King Vegeta's Imposing Presence. You don't awaken until you have 3 life, so it's a good way if you get down to 3 life, you can just negate with this card for free, or you can pay 1 energy for it. But the card being attacked loses 10k, ignoring barrier. And then for each additional attack your opponent makes, they have to neg that said card by 5 just to make the attack go through. This does not initially stop the initial attack, but it sometimes does slow your opponent down enough where they just go pass. If your opponent's not playing wide, which is the purpose of that card, Violent Ray is a good way of stopping decks from going tall. Either stopping an opponent from swinging with a Unison or a tall battle card is always great. You do need to discard a card for this effect. Yeah. And I play 1, Testing the Opposition. If you were to get down to 5 life, or you need that extra push to get down to 3 life, is a great way of negating an attack and then getting an additional blocker on the board as well, just to keep your opponent from hitting you. Pretty much useless. We want to discard this card as soon as we see it, either with the leader's effect or other card effects. But we play 3 of these mainly because we play the 1-drop Broly Slumbering Demon. When this card's played from your hand, draw 1 card. You can play this card with Demonic Cometh, but I don't recommend it unless you're trying to go off the activate main here, which for 2 energy, 1 needs to be red. If your opponent has 3 or more energy, and there's a red field card, Dormant Legends, you place this card in its owner's drop area, play up to 1 red Broly with an energy cost of 4 from your deck, then shuffle your deck if you look through it. Sorry, you obviously look through it. Here's the problem with that though. I like that effect, especially for the next couple of cards, but I need to go into this is a huge risk factor, because if you were to do this, keep in mind that does open up a timing window 1 and a 2 for counterplay purposes. So your opponent could just counterplay the card being played, and you could choose not to find. And if you do that, you wasted 2 energy and you lost your 1-drop. And if window 2, if you're playing against green, you gotta be very careful of Charismatic Villain, because that's a card that will instantly pop any of your 4-drops. So just kind of be wary of that if you're gonna do it, and make sure your opponent either Unison's low enough or they have no energy to activate counterplays. But we play 1 of the 4-drop Broly Counter Reversal, which if your opponent activates a counter skill, deal 1 damage to them. 3 of the SS Red Green Broly, which has a rival red green, so I play 3 of them. So in case we need to combo 1 of these off just to play the other one, we can. But ideally, like I said, we want to play it with the 1-drop Broly effect, because if this if your opponent's leader, if your opponent has 3 or more energy when this card is played from your deck, it gets 6,000 power and double strike for the turn, so it becomes a 25k double strike. And when this card attacks, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards and KO it, so it helps with the clearing your opponent's board presence. Or you can play the SS Broly finishing the job. When this card attacks, you choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and neg it by 10, or you can choose one of your opponent's unisons and neg it by 15 for the turn. This card can also be played as a limit 1 for 1 red energy when your leader card is red Broly, and when you activate the activate battle skill of a red extra card with original energy cost of 3 or more in your hand or drop area, you can play this card for your hand, which is pretty nice because like once you awaken, that effect will always proc as long as you've been discarding extra cards. So if you have this in your hand, for 1 energy, you could play that. A tech option, I feel like everyone who plays this deck is playing this as a tech option anyway, so do you even call it a tech option? But Crown Retribution, it's a way to peek at your opponent's hand if they have 2 active energy. Sometimes when you're going for that late game push, you want to see your opponent's hand. If they have a Floodgate card, either being either of the Topos, the Majin Buu, or Oceania, that will definitely hurt you for continuing swinging, just play this card, peek at their hand, and then rip it from their hand. Or hopefully your opponent will just counterplay that card instead. 4 super combos because they're good. Unfortunately, you cannot play the Raditz one, so it's the next best thing, Sparking 5. For our boss monster, 6-drop Broly. You can play this for 3 energy if you have 5 or more red extra cards in your drop area. This card is a double strike deflect card, so it's definitely coming in play, but it can be dual attack, and here's how. Auto once per turn, you choose 1 card in your hand, discard it. When you activate an activate battle card, either from your hand or your drop area, with an original energy cost of 3 or more. So if you swing with the 6-drop first and then turn around and swing with the leader, you use the leader's effect to proc one of your 3-drop extra cards in your hand. It will resand this card if you discard a card from your hand. And additionally, if you discard another 6-drop Broly from your hand, this one in particular, you draw 2 additional cards. So it's not a bad way of just pitching cards to draw more cards in your hand. And potentially, that could be a double strike here. Leader, if you activate Demonic Playtime, double strike there. Restand the 6-drop for an additional double strike swing. Those are 35 swings. Your leader will be at least 25 double strike. It's a lot of cards your opponent has to combo off. And keep in mind, if you played the Crown Retribution beforehand, hopefully get rid of a Floodgate card, you can make this happen. And after you swing a second time here, you just pop it to play the SS4 Broly, which pretty much makes your opponent scoop most of the time. Barrier double strike, and the permanent that all cards in your opponent's leader area, battle area, and combo area get minus 5,000 power / combo. And if somehow your opponent survives this said turn that you play this card, during your opponent's next turn, your leader has additional 10k power. So your opponent has to combo even more cards just to deal damage to you. So that is my SS4, that's my set 15 Red Broly deck. Hope you all enjoy. Keep in mind, you comment down below what you think I should change or adjust. I ended up liking this a lot more than I thought I would. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks for tuning in. Like always, read your cards, know your plays, and fluff out.